Hey traders, John Howell here. Let's get ready for another exciting week in the market. So today I'm just going to give you an overall view of the stock market, just the main indices, and just a bit of an update on there on a technical analysis. Plus also going to be looking at the mining stocks and silver and gold and just some important key levels we should be focusing on moving forward this week. So let's get straight into it. Don't place a trade based on what you'll see in this video because there is no guarantees of making a profit in the market. It takes you a long time to become a good trader. So this video here is just to educate you to become a much better trader. Alrighty traders, let's get straight into the training today. Let's actually start off with the stock market first. So the stock market right now has been making the S&P 500 has been making one astronomical move to the upside. Now, if you've been watching my videos for the last couple of months, you'll know the reason why this is happening right now. The thing is that if you are not in the S&P 500 right now, and you do believe that we're going to see a lot more upside because we're in this environment right now, where I do believe we're likely to see at least we're going to see a top of this channel being printed. Then the worst time to get into something and when it's already made a move, right? So the best time to get into something is when it's had a pullback. And so if you remember, I did a video after we get this pullback through here, and I did a video on this point through here even a couple of days ago. I actually put that up as well too. But you'll know that on this pullback, as this market broke out, that's when I actually added to my SPY options. So I had SPY options for the entire year. I had that like many months ago, like 6 months ago or something like that. I got into those. But then when I saw this pullback and then a rip, I actually then added to then, because right, I had a pullback and now I'm getting on the dip, right? So the best time to be getting into something is as it's dipping. So I waited for this pullback first. I wanted to add to my SPY options, but I was waiting for some sort of a good pullback first to get into it, right? And then when we started to bounce, this is where I'm looking to get into, and then I'm looking to take profits up here. But I added to this position here, plus also I had a position back here somewhere as well too, right? So obviously both of those options are doing really well for me. But the thing is that right now is probably the wrong time to be getting involved with this here, because the way the markets work, right? And this is where people who, if you're just new to the markets or you've been trading the markets now for even 12 months, the way the markets work is that you get these sort of movements up and then you get pullbacks or sideways phases, and you can see what happens through here as well too, right? So the worst time to be getting into something is when it's already made a big move. That's the worst time. Like buy low, sell high. What a lot of amateurs do is that they don't understand that one concept, and so when the market's already gone up, they get in. Oh, look, it's going to keep going up. It's going to keep going up, and then the market pulls back on them, which was expected, and then they get stopped out. They say, "Oh, the market burnt me." It's not that the market burnt you. It's just your understanding of the markets wasn't really good, right? And it's just a simple analysis that if something's already made a move like this here, then it's probably going to be the wrong time to get into it. Now, the hard part is that you never know when this price action phase that we're getting right now, you never know when that's going to come to an end. So the best time to get into something is when it starts. The reason why is twofold, is that firstly, you never know. I never know exactly I'm going to get this, right? I never know this. But what I do know is that if I get in here and if it completely reverses against me, I'm getting out here, right? So that's going to be my loss. But guess where my profit target is? Like 5K, 5,000. You see what I'm saying there? Like that's my risk to my reward. And the reason why you want to get in here, right? If you get in here, like it's very hard to have some sort of a stop there. So the market right now is having a very nice move to the upside, but how long this environment is going to last, how long this big price phase is going to last, these things can last a long time. I'll give you an example, right, of a trade that I did last year on Tesla, right? Look at this back here on Tesla. So I actually got in on the breakout on Tesla last year. So the market went sideways, and then right here, that's when I actually, let me just draw a little box around it, right? So right there, I actually entered in Tesla. Then the market ran up. I'm like, oh, here we go. So I got out around 600, right? We flattened out a bit, and then we're in for another big run to the upside as well too. So when we're looking at these price phases, especially the environment we're in right now, The hard thing is that we never know when these phases are going to come to an end. The environment we're in, though, is that when it comes to the stock market itself, right, the environment we're in is still very, very, very bullish. I'm expecting some form of a pullback out of the markets because it's just been going up for quite some time. But with that being said, it's very hard to say. We never know when the pullback is going to happen. But then on the flip side of that, I just look at the environment we're in. As I said before, is that we have still at 0% interest rates. People said I did a post yesterday, actually a few days ago on my YouTube channel. Let me actually bring that up for you, and I'll share that with you right now. Let me actually bring my channel up. And let me do this here, okay? So this is my channel here, and so I did and this is something that's really important to understand if you're looking at these markets right now and how to think about it, okay? So if I look at this here, right? Stock market, John, you don't get it, stock market's going to crash. I did this 4 days ago. All right, so this is the same mistake that I've made many times in my 17 years trading these markets. This is the last time I made this mistake was in 2016 when Trump became president. Let me explain. In 2016, when Trump was going through the elections, all I heard was the market's going to crash, video podcast, everything. And you probably remember, if you were trading the markets around that time, if you weren't these new people who have just entered the markets, then you'll know what I'm talking about, right? You would have heard the same thing. So for me, I got sucked in. I got sucked in that much that I had up to a $500,000 short position. I know, dumbass. As you know, Trump got elected and started one of the most craziest bull moves over the next 12 months. Now, I saw this early and got out fast for around $150,000 at that time. Now, that was a loss. Don't worry, I made it back and more, and still made a profit that year trading my trading system. I sat there thinking, I missed something big here, and I need to figure it out. So since then, I've worked hard to figure it out. You see, I have my trading system that I trade for income, but if I want to have an investment position as well, like I'm talking about right now in the stock market, I need to know more about what really pushes these markets around. What are the big things that make big differences in the markets? One of the many big things that moves these markets are interest rates. When interest rates are at zero, like right now, it's bullish for the markets. And then over time, they start to raise it. And then over the course of a year or more, the markets start to top out. If you just take this one thing in the 2016 elections when Trump was being elected, what was happening? They were still near zero, right? So I'm bringing that because that's exactly what's happening right now. We're still at zero, but a lot of people are thinking, oh, the Fed's tapering, so therefore the market is going to crash, right? Therefore they think Fed taper equals crash. Okay. So exactly what they're thinking when Trump was being elected is what they're thinking right now. They started to raise them through 2017, and guess what? In 2018, we hit the wall because they slowly raised the interest rates. Remember, they slowly raised the interest rates in 2017. 2017, we had a massive bull market, and then 2018, we hit the wall and we went sideways for a whole year, up and down, up and down, up and down, right? So we hit the wall there. But they actually started to raise interest rates through 2017, and they slowly increased it in 2018, and we hit the wall and went sideways. Right now, we haven't even started to raise interest rates. Okay, right now, all I hear is that this bubble is going to pop. China's going to crash the market, etc., etc. But they are missing the one big thing, and that is the Fed has not started to put on the brakes just yet. We are in the middle of the biggest bubble in history, and it will end with a blow-off top. And I think we have just started that last week. Now, I actually did this a week ago, right? That's what, if I'm looking at this situation here, right? I'm looking at this point through here to say, okay, what's really going on? And then I say, make sure you have a good trading system. And if you are investing over the course of 1 to 2 years, please understand the big things. And then you can actually go to a free training that I've got through there if you want to do that, right? But then I have some people here, right? So look at there was this one comment here, and he said, dude, the Fed is tapering right now. Greg Memorino has an indicator that works. It's not the indicators, right? Screw indicators. You don't want to look at indicators. Or maybe if you're going to use the Fed interest rate as an indicator, then yeah, you'll use that, right? But look at the main things. So you said, dude, the Fed is tapering right now. And this is what a lot of people are thinking, right? A lot of people are thinking, oh, the Fed's going to start to taper because they went from 120 and they're slowly taking the foot off the pedal to 105. But one thing they don't realize is the neutral rate, the neutral interest rate in the markets right now, right? Because if you don't know, when interest rates are low, it's bullish for the markets. When interest rates start to go up, it starts to put a pressure or a brake on asset prices, such as property and stocks. So if we have a look at that neutral rate, right? This is 120 billion per month of QE, right? But if we don't even look at QE and we look at the neutral rate, it's actually around about 2.5%. So that's 2.5%. So interest rates need to be at 2.5% to be neutral, not bullish for assets or bearish for assets, around neutral without the QE. Right now, we're basically at 0 and we're still doing what? 105. And this is what people don't understand about what's happening right now, is that the government is this right now, we're still massive bullish from that. And then on top of all of this, the environment that the Fed has created, even the bond market, the biggest market in the world, there's trillions of dollars on the sidelines, literally trillions of dollars on the sidelines coming into these markets, which is pushing these markets up. Doesn't mean we're not going to go up every day, right? But we get these pullbacks. That's what's creating this big upward trend in the markets so I hope you, if you are thinking the Fed is going to, the Fed tapering right now is going to create a taper tantrum, then the person you've been watching is being completely wrong. If you've been watching my videos, you would know I've been bullish this entire year, right? And I've been saying this entire year. These are the big things that is important to the markets. Again, they haven't even started to raise interest rates yet. So interest rates are still very low, and there's literally trillions of dollars on the sidelines coming into these markets, and that's what's creating this environment. And they just passed another bill recently as well too. It's just like everything is crazy bullish for the markets, and we are going to experience. We are experiencing. The reason why I'm wrong, one of the greatest blow off bull markets you've ever seen in history. That's what we are in the middle of it. And people keep thinking the market's going to crash. People think the market's going to top. Oh, you know what? The market's made a new high. We're going to crash. How many times are you going to trying to pick the top in the stock market when we have 0% interest rates, trillions of dollars markets pushing this here, pushing this around, you know, and we're still in a very big bull market. We're still in a very trend is your friend until the end, right, guys? Trend is your friend. Tell me where the trend is right now, right? We get our pullbacks, don't we? But tell me where the trend is. It's up, right? We up, high low, high low, high low, high low, high low. Like it's just up. The trend is your friend until the end. So technical analysis says we're going up, so don't fight it. And on a fundamental level, nothing has changed it. The Fed is going to let this thing roll. So stop trying to be a Harry Dent and call a top every single day. Poor Harry. I tell you, some people just have to learn from their mistakes. Me, I made a massive mistake in 2016. Right? I'm like, because I had no idea. I trade well, but when it comes to doing these other positions, I never understood where we're going. But if you've been following me now, even for the last 6 months, even for the last 3 months, you know I've been screaming this at the top of my lungs, don't call the top of the stock market. But every single time we go up, it seems like everyone just wants every time we make a new high, everyone's calling a top in the stock market. That doesn't make sense to me. If you know in a bull market, most of the time, the bull market's going to resume, especially if it's making a new high, and maybe 10% of the time, maybe call it even 20% of the time, and 20% of the time, you picking a top in the stock market's going to work. Why would you do that? Why would you view the market right now, which has like maybe a 10% chance, probably less, but let's just call it 10%. You know what? Screw it. Let's say 20%. Why would you say this is the top in the stock market right now, which has a 20% chance of actually happening? Actually, that's actually been lenient. And then an 80% chance of actually continuing this big bull market, right? Just like we got here. Bull market, bull market, bull market, bull market, bull market, right? Again, yes, we get these pullbacks and we get these phases through here. But to me, if you're trying to look for the top in the stock market, but you know in a bull market, most of the time we're going to get a continuation. Why wouldn't you try to jump on the bandwagon when you have a much more of a high probability of actually doing well? Why try to, I'm going to get in now. I'm going to try and short the market. I'm going to get in before the big crash, right? There's if you read the markets, right, and right now I'm thinking about, like, there's a training that I did for my private clients, where I talked about the number one pattern that forms at the top of stock markets. And it's not that hard. It's just looking at trend analysis, right? Highs and lows. But the thing is that if you're viewing the markets right now and you're trading the markets right now and you are trying to got your odds of you not doing well, your odds are you have probably a 5% probability, especially in this environment right now, right? You probably have a 5% chance of actually calling a top in the stock market right now and a 95% chance of this thing continuing up. Yes, we will get, when I say continue up, we're probably going to get a pullback and then a continue up, just like we've got here, right? Big bull market. So why not, if you're viewing the markets, why not try to jump on the side that gives you much more probability? Why try to call a top in the stock market? You're gonna try to just wait for the market to turn around, right? If we start to get a turnaround here, and we start to get a lower high or something like that, then guess what? The trend is your friend until the end, and so we need to wait for that. So, but right now, guys, as I said before, we are in one of the craziest moves to the upside, and for me, it's like, there is so much wealth that's going to be created and is being created right now underneath your feet. And people just like, I think the market's going to crash. Right? Now, again, guys, I understand if you are in that, if you've been in that shoe right now, because if you've been around the markets maybe for a year or two, you may be sucked into all the negative news out there, right? The biggest bubble's going to crash in history. The biggest bubble, it's going to pop anytime soon. They're going to pop it. What's the thing that's going to pop it, guys? Let's actually bring it back down. What's the thing that's going to pop it? The big thing is what? Interest rates. That's the big thing. That's the thing that's going to pop it, right? Now, there's going to be things that's going to slow it down, such as the tapering or even taxes, right? Yeah, that's going to slow it down, but that's the big thing here, right? So there's massive amounts of wealth. Can you imagine you going back to, let's actually do this here, right? Let's go back to let's go back to 1999. Can you imagine you being in one of the biggest bubbles in history, just like the 1999? Right? Look at this here. And you just like going up, and then suddenly we started getting this here, and then suddenly guess what? All right? Can you imagine being in this part through here and like, the top's in, the top's in, the top's in, and you're trying to call the top instead of saying, you know what? I'm just gonna ride this trend, right? I'm just gonna ride this thing to the end. I'm just gonna do whatever I can. I'm not gonna get the exact high, but guess what? If I can get a chunk through here and make $3-4 million out of this thing, guess what? Thank you very much, bull market. You just made me multiple seven figures, right? And that's the way we want to look at it, right? This was the .com boom. You think that's big? like. This here wasn't even fueled by trillions of dollars. It wasn't even fueled by the Fed, right? And now now we've got the QE happening. Now they've still got the printing of money happening. Now they've got the 0% interest rates. They're still doing monthly QEs. Oh my goodness, guys! And there's still like $3.5 trillion on the sidelines coming into these markets. We are experiencing one of the biggest blow-offs in history, and people are trying to fight one of the biggest blow-offs in history, but they're missing the point. They're like, I am missing out literally on a lot of money here because of my ignorance and my ignorance about them calling the stock market. Yes, we will form a top in the stock market, guys, and that will happen. But if you look at this here, right, look at this back here, right? Looks very, very similar, doesn't it? Big move up, sideways channel, and now we're starting to break out. If I go to the S&P 500, let's do this here, right? Let's actually bring this up through to here. Right? And now look what we got here, right? Up, sideways, and we've got this like nice little channel that's happening through here, right? Through there. We had that wedge. Remember that wedge, guys? And this is actually a good point here, right? Remember that rising wedge that everyone was talking about? If everyone is talking about a pattern, guess what? The market's going to do the complete opposite. It may fake you out like it did here. I guarantee you this rising wedge here, people got short because everyone was talking about the rising wedge. If you see everyone talking about something, then don't do that. right? That's especially in the stock market, because if everyone knows it, the market's probably going to fake you out. I guarantee you, a lot of people would have went short here because like, oh my goodness, the rising wedge is breaking. It's going to crash to the downside. Let's go short. And then woof. All right, this is called what I call a slingshot move. Me, I was waiting for the pullback and then I was waiting for the jump on what? I was just looking to jump on the trend. So that's actually a thing that I I put in there, right? But you can see what's happening, and even on the Dow Jones as well too. Dow Jones is just starting to look what's happening with the Dow Jones, right? The Dow Jones is just starting to break out now. We're just starting to look at this here, just starting to break out now. So there is nothing bearish about these markets. Yes, we will get our pullbacks, guys. But if you're trying to call a top, and if you're trying to call a peak in these markets, it's not there yet. Please, again, guys, don't fight the markets. Have you guys seen Rogue Trader? Leave a comment in the section below and let me know. Have you seen Rogue Trader? You know the whole Nick Leeson and how he was, how he lost all that money for the bank and so on and so forth. Well, it's actually a movie, right? I think it's on YouTube. But the thing is that let me just, this one here, right? Let's actually take up a screen, right? This one here, this Rogue Trader here, this story here, right? And if I go back to here, right, it's the drama based on a true story following Nick Leeson, a young British man working at banks. Basically he lost a lot of money. Anyway, there's a point in this movie here, right, where the market was crashing and he was fighting the market and fighting the market and fighting the market and fighting the market. He was fighting the market so much that he ended up blowing himself out. Please, guys, don't fight the market, right? Because the reason why I'm doing I'm doing a bit more of an intense sort of interactive video for you guys right now today, because I want you guys to crush it. You guys can crush it if you just look at reality as it is. Not the fairy dust that the media and the red headlines and even the YouTube people out there are going to tell you, right? Remember, the YouTube people out there, and guys, I'm part of the YouTube community. I know. They are there to cause you to click on their videos. Of course, they're going to say how bad things are. Of course, they're going to do that sort of stuff. But that doesn't equal you getting good results. Because the truth about the market, doesn't matter how much bad things there are right now. There is trillions of dollars being printed right now and on the sidelines and 0% interest rates. That's causing this thing to go off through a massive bull move. And people just completely missing out on literally not trillions of dollars, but, people who are capturing this move are going to be making millions and millions and millions of dollars by the time this thing finishes. Right? Especially like you guys can do so well. And now I'm not saying jump in right now. No, the time was to do this here. But if we do get some sort of a pullback, it's totally up to you what you do. But I just see this being one of the greatest bull moves in history. Now, there's no guarantees of that. You need to play it smart, right? There is no guarantees in the markets, but the probability is massive. And again, even looking at the Dow Jones now, and we're seeing how the Dow Jones was in this box. Look at this here. The Dow Jones was in this box. And what is this here? The calm before the storm. The calm before the storm. And now we're just breaking out right now on the Dow Jones. It's like this thing's getting ready to have a move. Now the Dow Jones, after being just doing nothing for all this time, guess where we run into? Just the top of the channel, right? Because we have, look at this here. We have the bottom of the channel. Right, the bottom of the channel here, and now we have the top of the channel up here, right? So we're probably where are we likely to go to? Up here somewhere, right? Especially after doing nothing for quite some time. Now the Dow Jones is moving, and the S&P 500 and the Nasdaq, they're all going grand game busters. And so have a look at the Nasdaq. Where's it? And again, just simple trend line channel analysis, because we all know that, right? We all know, traders, that if we have a channel, right, and if the market's in a channel like this here and it comes back down and bounces, where's it likely to go to? To the other side of the channel. Now, where we are right now, I believe this thing doing right, doing that. Where we're likely to go to? To the other side of the channel. And it's probably, by the time this thing finishes, it's probably going to be blowing straight past this thing here. And that's what we're seeing through here, right? We're really seeing this big move up, and even when we're looking at the Russell, like look what's happening in the Russell 2000, right? It's what's the analogy? The calm before the storm, and the trend is your friend until the end. Where is firstly calm before the storm? What is this here? Nothing for almost 12 months. What's happening now? The storm is starting. The storm is starting. The calm before the storm. And look at this volume, right? Lots and lots of volume behind this breakout. So, and then also, where's the trend? Up, right? Higher low, significant higher low, right? If you're looking at the major swings there, right? Major swings But the trend up, significant high low, and now we're breaking. Where's even the Russell likely to go to? Again, not every day. We're going to get our pullbacks, but we're likely to probably end up here somewhere. So traders, please don't fight the market. Go for it. Wait for these things to pull out and then go through there. So there is so much here, guys. There is so much here that, that can really, really, really help you with your trading. And I hope just today, some of it is actually sinking in for you, that you can really get a good grasp on what's happening here. Because people are focusing on the markets that are already made big moves, like crypto, right? It's like, I want you to be involved with something that's in the middle or just starting. And I've talked about a few markets today that I believe are just starting one of the craziest bull moves in history. And I believe the S&P 500 is in the middle of that. And a few other markets I've mentioned today, I believe, are just starting a significant break to the upside, and away we go. So that's actually the stock market there, guys. If you'd like to learn more about how I trade the markets and my trading system and so on and so forth, I'm running a webinar today, and then I'll actually teach you my trading system, what I look for trading for income. I have two approaches, right? I have this one approach, which is my investing type approach, what I'm talking about right now, and then I have my trading for income, right? My income that generates my income throughout the month. Again, very first thing in the description, you'll be able to get access to that training and that webinar, and then I'll be able to share that with you and help that and show you exactly what to look for. But that's actually the stock market there. Let's go have a look at the mining sector, okay? Now, the mining sector right now, the big thing that's always happening in the back of my mind when it comes to the mining sector is cycle analysis, right? If we go back and look at history, and what does history do? This is what happens to markets. They do this. They go through good times and they go through bad times. They go through good times, they go through bad times. They go through good times, etc., etc. So if you have a look at this here, right, this is what I'm thinking about the metals and the miners right now, okay, of a big macro cycle analysis, not like tomorrow. Oh, John, you said it's going to go up and it went down tomorrow. Come on, guys, okay? Let's actually time out, right? When we're looking at the big macro cycles, when it comes to the gold mining stocks, and even gold, or I think not so much gold, but especially the mining stocks. And let's actually do this here, right? For the last 10 years, what was good? It was what? It was stocks, crypto, okay? What was bad? What did bad, all right? Probably what? Metals, right? Metals and miners. That did bad. The last 10 years has been good for this, not so good for this, right? Or I wouldn't say not gold. Gold went up almost 100%, 80 or 90% in the last 3 or 4 years. So that's actually not a bad thing. But we're looking at the miners. Now, here's the thing. It's very, 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 very simple, traders, right? When you think about it, that's what was good last time, okay, for the last 10 years. So if what was good in the last 10 years is probably not going to be so good in the next 10 years. So maybe crypto, I don't know about that, but stocks, we're in a blow off top right now, and it's probably not going to be as good as some other markets, right? But initially we're doing good with the stock market and crypto. Okay, but over the next 10 years, what didn't do well, mining sector, in the last 10 years, is likely to do well this decade, right? It's called cycle analysis, because nothing does bad all the time. We go through these periods. Like I look at here, I look at places around, like even when we went through the property market, right? We went through a big property boom, property crash, 2008, 2009, 2010, started stabilizing, and then went through another big bull market, right? Things go in cycles. So if you're looking for long-term investing opportunities, where would you look? You'd look for things that haven't done well for the last 10 years. Because for the next 10 years, you're likely to be riding one of the craziest bull markets you've seen in that sector for quite some time. Make sense? So this next 10 years, when we're looking at the cycle of analysis, next 10 years, probably the stock market's going to be good for the next maybe couple of years. But over this next, from now through the end of this decade, it's going to be the MM. It's going to be M&M, right? M&M's going to come to M&M's going to wrap it. I'm just trying to think of a rap right now on the spot. Here we go. So the last 10 years So the last 10 years, everyone that was in the metals and miners, it brought them tears. But the next 10 is going to be going to bring us the greenback, and we're definitely not going to throw it in the bin. The bin is like that. That's a New Zealand term. Anyway, so anyway, guys, I hope you can see what I'm saying here, right? Just for you guys that understand patience and understand macro analysis, this is the big thing. The reason why I really like the mining and metal sector right now, purely based on this, right? People, yes, we could talk inflation and we could talk that sort of stuff, but purely cycle analysis is that, guys, if a lot of people, the biggest mistake that I find that even what I made, right? I'm just trying to crack my neck because it just got stiff. The biggest problem that I've made in the past, and I think a lot of people do, right, is they focus on what's happening right now and they think that that's going to continue. But if they step back a bit and look at these markets from a big macro perspective, like, I can see where these things can start to move, right? Just like I talked about with the stock market, and just like I'm talking about like right now with the metals and miners. If you want to be, remember when Bitcoin was back at $5,000 or $6,000 or $10,000 before it went to 65? That's what I see happening in the minor metals right now. And then over the next 2 or 3 or 4 years, we're going to see an explosion. We're going to see this thing. We may have even started to form a bottom right now in the metals and miners. Because that's on a fundamental level there, right? Technically, we're starting to get these V bottom formations, right? Big V bottom formations through here, big down, straight up, and now we're getting a higher low. This GDX as well too. Look at this here, beautiful V bottom. We made a good sort of, once again, a good V bottom through here. We came down. That's see that 50% level there, came down to 50% and hold, and now we're actually breaking back up again. Silver miners, SILJ, and also the SIL. Guess what they're doing? Same thing. If we have a look at this here, we've got a beautiful sort of 50% Fibonacci level, a beautiful move down. Right, so a beautiful move down, and now we're getting a V bottom. Now we're getting what? A potential trend change. Remember I said before that when it comes to the stock market, maybe the trend is your friend until the end. A lot of people just like fighting these markets when you're doing that, right? The trend is your friend until the end. When is the end? Well, here we have a lower high, right? Downward trend, right? Lower highs equals downward trend. Then suddenly what happens is that we go through what? We go through potentially a low, an equal high, or maybe even a slight high. We come down, higher low. What's happening here, right? We're now what? Higher lows is what? Upward trend, and away we go. Here we go, higher low. If we start to break a pass through here, now we're actually complete change of trend. We're now made a higher low. This is now looking at short-term technical analysis. I went just from big picture. I just say, okay, what's the big picture here? But then we have short-term technical analysis based on this here. And we can see that once we get through here, we're likely then start to what? Start a new upward trend, because now the trend is your friend until the end. This market is being in down, so that's the trend. Now the end of the downtrend is starting, and potentially a new upward trend, and then especially on the SILJ, and then we're probably likely to start to see quite some. This actually could be just even looking at this thing here, right? This actually could be the start of something just really awesome. If I have a look at some longer term trend lines, I'm just trying to look at see if we're actually in some sort of a longer term sort of channel through here. So that'll be the big thing that I'll be watching out for, looking at the stock market there. But yeah, so you can see once again, guys, big V bottom here, and now we're getting this potentially, right? And this is the main thing we should be focusing on, not the there's all this other stuff, right? All this other stuff out there that really is not. What I try to teach you is like, you know, the 80-20 rule, right? 20% of the stuff that makes 80% of the difference. I teach you the 80% of the difference, and I go hard and deep into this sort of stuff. Notice I'm not talking about like, oh, what's the RSI telling us? Who cares about the RSI? The market is the main thing that's talking to us, right? The trend is your friend until the end, and so on and so forth. If we have a look at gold looks like it could be finally getting ready to have this big breakout. Now, remember, traders, that the cup and handle pattern is a big, massive cup and handle pattern that is still in play right now on gold, and we're still here. So this big sort of handle formation through here, and then we've had this sort of we actually had a pullback through here. So right, this big cup and handle. We still got that big massive cup and handle formation on the monthly chart that could be starting to slowly work its way into next year. So maybe even next year is going to be a big year for the metals and miners. And then obviously this weekly chart, we're starting to potentially break out now. That's the weekly chart and then back down to the daily chart there. So getting very exciting, getting very interesting there. Even when I look at, say, something like the silver market as well too, right? Silver's doing the exact same thing as the mining sector's doing. Silver's really starting to change its tune. Remember, traders, what? The trend is your friend until the end. So we have a lower high, lower high, lower high, lower high, right? Now look what's happening here. The market's changing tune, isn't it? Big what? V bottom. Now we're potentially making our higher low. If we start to break past here, what's an upward trend? Higher low, breaking past previous highs. Higher low, higher low, higher low, right? So this here could be, guess what? That there could be a beautiful higher low again before we start to see a break above there. We get a break above here, and then it's just, we're probably going to race towards 28. So as you can see, traders, that if we just look at the main things, there is so much opportunity right now in the markets when it comes to metals and miners. And then also the stock market. There's if you're just focusing on crypto because that's the next craze, guys, please look at all these other markets I'm talking about. Even some individual stocks right now are just like I'm in the energy sector right now. I've been in it for the last couple of months, doing really well there. I've just recently got into some of the tech stocks as well. Some of the I just got into a tech stock. And the thing is, guys, there's so much opportunity out there. If you can see just from everything I'm mentioning through here, that you can do so well. So traders, just to finish off, once again, I'm running a webinar today. If you'd like to get my help, then just make sure you join that webinar today. And on that webinar, one, I'm going to teach you exactly what I look for in a trading system, how I got started, the biggest mistakes I made. And then also, if you're interested in joining my 1-year coaching program, then I'll talk more about that on the webinar as well too. So, all right, traders, that's it for me today, and I'll speak to you real soon.